Good afternoon, people's people. Yeah! We're going to get this meeting started. Does everybody have their voting card? If you don't, we got plenty back there. I'm Joe Hampel. I'm president of the Board of Trustees of People's Church. And as one of my final acts as president, I get to administer this meeting. Thank you for trusting me to help with the board duties for the last 3 years. I'll try not to go too fast, as I had a lot of caffeine before I came in here. All right, and now the meeting will come to order. Tom Hackley, we need you to light that chalice. And Brian will do the reading.
Hello, my name is Brian. We light this chalice as a symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith and our mission that guides us. Even the work of numbers and budgets is meaningful work, an expression of our values and vision. May this small flame illuminate our hearts and minds as we plan for our future, reminding us that our decisions today are guided by love, justice, and a commitment to our shared purpose. In its light, may we find clarity, wisdom, unity, and as we move forward together. I also want to share a short reading and a short reflection. Rebecca Parker was the minister and president of Starr King School of Ministry from 1990 to 2014. She said, "Your gifts, whatever you discover them to be, can be used to bless or curse the world. You must answer this question. What will you do with your gifts? Choose to bless the world," she says. The choice to bless the world can take you into solitude, to search for the sources of power and grace. More, the choice will draw you into community. The endeavor shared by the heritage passed on, the companionship of struggle, the importance of keeping the faith, the life of ritual and praise, the comfort of human friendship, the company of earth, its chorus of life welcoming you. None of us can save the world. Together, that is another possibility waiting. A short reflection. I was very involved in the Unitarian world for a long time, and I loved hearing and reading and taking trainings from Lyle Schaller. He wrote a book, The Budget as a Moral Document, and I want to just read a little bit from that. He was called the Dean of Church Consultants. He taught that churches thrive when they keep their mission at the center of all decisions. He urged congregations to see the budget not as an end in itself, but as a tool for ministry. In his words, if the discussion about the budget can be shifted from money to ministry, from economy to effectiveness, and from means to purpose, Schaller's legacy reminds us that a church budget should serve our highest values and hopes. It is essentially a statement of faith. People of faith often say that a budget is a moral document, a theological statement of what we value. Our church's budget is more than a collection of line items. It's an expression of our collective mission. Each dollar we plan to spend is a tangible commitment to what we find worthy and sacred. Each allocation for worship, for religious education, for social justice, for building community tells a story about who we are and what we believe in. When we fund programs right here that support our green sanctuary, support our Syrian refugees, create the Resistance and Resilience Fund, support the Homeworks with one of our monthly collections, we are saying these are our values. When we support music, art, and fellowship, we affirm that this community and its growth matters deeply to us. In short, our budget reflects our covenant with one another, the world. It's how we put our values into practice, grounded in justice, held in love, and moving forward toward collective transformation. Thank you.
Thanks, Brian. Eli, how many members are present?
71.
There are 71 members present.
On Zoom? How many on Zoom?
If you don't know the answer, it's because I was talking, and I'm the one doing that, so I'll get that in a
All right, we've got 4 tellers in the room. Brian and Donna will observe the chat in Zoom and let me know if anyone wishes to speak. Amy and Teresa will be helping in the Commons. They will be responsible for counting votes if required. The votes we take today will determine the final wording of the ballot that will be sent to all members. Please look at the agenda for this annual meeting. Are there any additions or corrections? Anybody? Hearing none, the agenda is approved. All right, and take a look at the minutes from last year's annual meeting. I'll give you guys a minute to check it over. Any additions or corrections to the minutes of May 19, 2024? Hearing none, the minutes are approved as presented. Next page is the report on the state of the church. I'm not going to go through and read it line by line, but I do want to highlight a couple things. Address the elephant in the nation. And I'm sure that a lot of people are uneasy and anxious about the current political climate in our and a lot of crazy stuff going on in the world. And I just want to say now is go to protests, go to town halls, contact your local representatives. It's very important now more than ever that we continue to do that and live into our values. Thank you. And despite all this crazy stuff that's going on, we still have lots of reason to celebrate. This year we had a great party celebrating Reverend Rachel's 10-year anniversary. And I want to give a hand to all the people behind the scenes that helped put that together. It was a booming success. We had a lot of fun, and Reverend Rachel had a blast as well.
Can I just interrupt on the teller? There were 6 present on Zoom at this time.
Thanks, Brian. Okay, so we had a great party, and of course, Reverend Rachel is taking a well-deserved sabbatical. She'll be gone until October. And Diane, stepping up in her place. Diane. Yeah. And because we appreciate Diane and the work that the RE committee does and the wonderful program that we have, we did pass a significant line item in the budget that you will notice for an RE assistant to help with that. And so that is, yes, yep. Yeah, we felt it was like a really important investment for something that's really valuable to us and the congregation, and that's why that's in there. Tom will talk a lot more about that. And yeah, these decisions reflect our priorities, and obviously that's a big one of them. And the other reports are in the printed material. And now I'll hand it off to Lori to report for the nominating committee.
I'm Lori Roop, representing the 2004-2005 Nominating Committee. We developed a slate of candidates for next year's Board of Trustees and also for the next Nominating Committee. Candidate biographies were published in the April newsletter. The board nominees are Tim Kiefer, Elizabeth Huff-Willis, and Martin Sauter. And if approved, they'll join the current board members, Laura Baltman, Julie Ginn, Donna Kay, Teresa Clan, Amy Meyer, and Cindy Pietras. The nominating committee members for next year are George Herbeck and Brianna Wordsmith, who will join the current committee members, Bob Friedel, Mike Leonard, Ken Tyndall, myself, and another member who will be appointed by the board. We thank the departing board and committee members for their service, and we appreciate the proposed candidates for their willingness to serve.
Thank you, Lori. Our bylaws have nomination by petition, and so no additional nominations can be made at this time. All those in favor of including the entire slate on the ballot sent to all members, please raise your voting card. And those in Zoom, use the raise your hand function. All right, you can put them down. All those opposed?
We need a little time on Zoom.
Okay. All right, the slate that Lori read for the Board of Trustees will be included on the ballot. And let me see what I here. All right, next step is our bylaws have nomination by petition, and so no additional nominations can be made at this time. All those in favor of including the entire slate on the ballots and to all members, please raise your hand. Wait, what is that?
You need to have the slate for the nominating committee.
Oh, jeez. Sorry, guys.
You're just skipping a step.
Yes, thanks. This is why we have Barb back here every year for the congregational meeting.
So Lori needs to come up and present the slate for the nominating committee. Unless you have it right in front of you.
Oh, no, I don't have it. Yep, sorry, Lori, we're going to need you back up here.
The nominating committee.
Okay. Yeah, I did both before, but the nominating committee members, or the nominating committee nominees, are George Herbeck and Brianna Wordsmith.
Thanks, Lori. All right, now picking back up over on the nominating committee. Our bylaws have nomination by petition, and so no additional nominations can be made at this time. All those in favor of including the entire slate on the ballot sent to all members, please raise your voting card, and those on Zoom, use the raise your hand function. Okay, you guys can put it down. All those opposed? In that case, that slate for the nominating committee will be included on the ballot. And now, I'm going to hand it over to Tom, who's going to do a reflection on the budget and a report on the state of the endowment funds and the stewardship campaign.
Thanks, Joe. I don't think we have any members of the investment committee here today. Is Greg or Jeff or Pat? Pretty sure everybody's doing something else. So I'm going to report for the investment committee, of which I'm an ex officio member. We have significant amount of money at the invested at Mercer Global Advisors right now, but we're in the process of moving that to a direct Vanguard account, simply because the fees have gone up at Mercer. Our total amount that we have invested in the unrestricted fund, the Palmer Fund, is $237,123. The restricted endowment fund for the perpetual pledge is $272,268. And the restricted endowment for the community service outreach fund is $52,895. Those numbers reflect the accounting at the end of March. As you may know, the stock market is going up and down, so I can't give you today's numbers, but I think it's probably pretty close to that. We also have in a savings account at the First National Bank of Michigan, a number of designated funds for a variety of things: the library, the Green Sanctuary, the Refugee Support, Resiliency and Resistance Fund, RE Liability Funds, the Minister's Discretionary Fund, and the Crane Memorial Garden Fund, totaling $55,000. Those monies are meant to be spent on only those things. They're not restricted endowments, but they're designated. So that's the status of our finances. We have pretty good reserves, I guess I would say, all in all. So that's good news. The budget is a little bit different story. So many of you will remember that last summer I reported that we had finished the year with a surplus. That was a little bit of a surprise, a happy surprise, and we took the surplus money and put it back into the investment accounts. That is not the case this year. We're going to end up a little bit short. We'll have a deficit at the end of the current year. And then what you're looking at today, the budget for the next fiscal year, which begins July 1st and goes through the following June 30th, we're also looking at a deficit. And you'll note, those of you who have looked at this, that the first line is the current pledges, and that number has slipped a little bit from last year. We think that probably that is at least partly due to the conditions in the economy. People are unsure about where things are going, and they're a little uncertain how much they can commit to for the coming year. We hope that that'll stabilize, and those of you who have felt reluctant to equal or increase your pledges from last year are certainly welcome to do so at any time. So we've slipped about $7,000 in our proposed budget for pledges. We also have some expenses that are additional to the previous budgets. For instance, we've had an increase in, or we're working on an increase in rental fees, and we've had an increase in rentals per se, so the amount that's coming in from building rental has gone up. That's accompanied by an increase in the cost for our custodial services. So our custodian is now going to be another $6,000 or so more than we've spent before. And there will be benefits triggered by that increase in hours. So there's $7,500 more or less that's added to the budget on custodial expenses. We're adding back in an RE assistant for the school year next year, 40 weeks at 12 hours a week. That position was eliminated a few years ago, and it has caused some stress within the staff, just trying to get everything taken care of. And I think you heard some testimonials from the RE teachers this morning that there's some stresses in the RE program too. So we're hoping that that is going to be addressed with the addition of an RE assistant. Additionally, there's a $3,000 expenditure to tune up the bells for the bell choir. This is one of those items that we all appreciate. We don't really appreciate that there needs to be some money going into it. But in order to keep our instruments properly tuned and to keep our beautiful bell choir doing its thing, we're going to be spending $3,000 there. Then, as you know, we had a lot of snow this past year. And we had budgeted $8,500 for snow removal. We spent over $21,000 to do that. Hopefully that's an anomaly. And we'll just keep our fingers crossed, but we've increased the budget to approximate the average over the last few years so that at least we're not going to be caught flat-footed if we do have a lot of snow this coming year. We're also working on looking at the contract that we have for the snow plowing, so there may be some adjustments there that can save us some money. Our denominational support, this is money that goes to the UUA in Boston. They annually send us a suggested amount for the contributions. This year it was about $23,000 that they were suggesting. We are budgeting $10,000 for that. And I can tell you, having been to a General Assembly in the past as a representative of a different congregation, a lot of congregations that are there do not pay their fair share. There are maybe a third of the congregations, so we're not unusual in that. We'd love to be able to get back to our full fair share, but for the last several years, we have not been paying the full amount. A victory of sorts was that Brian Lewis this past year was able to get our property taxes eliminated. We had a piece of property that was getting billed annually of about $1,000, and Brian went through the paperwork and the hoops to get us out of that. So thank you much, Brian, for that. We appreciate it.
Will you do my house now?
Get to work, Brian. You've got people standing in the wings. So the bottom line of this, I pointed out the first line where our pledges have slipped some, and then the last line is our deficit has increased some, about doubled. This is not something we want to keep going. We're looking at it. The board has made the cuts that they thought they could do and still respect the programs that we have, that all of you want to continue going. And we will do our best to, A, not spend this much money, even though we're budgeting for it, and B, get next year's so that it will come out as a balanced budget. The money will come from the Palmer Fund to cover the deficit. The Palmer Fund we have a finance policy that says surplus funds will go back to the Palmer Fund and deficit will be paid from the Palmer Fund. And we want to maintain that. It's an important backup plan for us all. It's our savings program. And so we don't want to continue this. But as I said, the programs that we all love and care about are important to keep going. So that's how we end up looking at a deficit this year. And I will be happy to field any questions about this if you have them. For those of you who hate to look at 3 pages of numbers and it makes your eyes shut and fall asleep or whatever happens, I'm sorry, but we need to do this. So if there are any questions, please raise your hand. David.
I'm curious, does someone in the congregation have their own snow plow?
Well, if you've ever watched them out here, you'll probably realize that what they need is a large truck that can also salt and find a place to put the snow. So it would be wonderful if somebody could step forward and do that, but I don't. Anything else? Julie.
We were inquiring about the associated costs with other like a bazaar. Where does all that come from?
I'm sorry,
Can you give her a microphone?
yeah.
So some people at my table were wondering about the associated costs with fundraisers such as bazaars, silent auction, white elephant, things of this nature.
The costs that are associated with those, well, the numbers that are in the budget are the net. The costs are paid from those line items. So there are things like the signs that go along with the bazaar, for instance. Those have been actually self-funded for the last couple of years where we just ask for contributions. There are other expenses and they get submitted as any committee expense is and deducted from the total amount that we report. Okay, don't all raise your hands at once. Sure. I'd love to take the credit for this, but we have a finance committee, an investment committee, a board of directors, all of whom have spent a lot of time on this and collectively wrung our hands over it. So thank you, Catherine.
Great job, Tom. Really appreciate the work that you and the Finance Committee did, and to my fellow board members when we went through the budget at our last meeting, and we tried to do everything we could to, get that deficit down as much as we could without suffering too much loss in the process. And we think that those numbers are pretty realistic. So, we did some adjusting over there, and we feel pretty good that these numbers are pretty solid. So thank you, everybody, for all the work that you've done on this. And with that, all those in favor of adopting the budget, please raise your voting.
To be on the ballot.
To be on the ballot.
Yes. Please raise your voting card or raise your hand in Zoom. Okay, you can put those down. And all those opposed? All right, this budget will be included on the ballot. Excellent. Is there any other new business anybody wants to bring up? That's what we've got this little spot set aside for. All right. Let's see. Oh, yeah. So, people have asked if they could cast their ballots here at the meeting. Eli said that he will be able to send out the electronic link within a few minutes after the end of the meeting. So look out for that if you want to vote electronically. We also print out ballots. So you can sign for a ballot and return the envelope in the foyer. The ballot box is also in the foyer. So there are a couple ways that you can vote. And now that we've reached the end of the meeting, Brian will speak our closing reflection.
Thank you, Joe. And where do we have Tom? Tom, you're going to help me distinguish the flame soon. Not right this moment, but soon. As we carry forward the wisdom that when we unite around our purpose, our potential is boundless. Lyle Shaller's insight echoes in our hearts as we keep our focus on mission. There is truly no limit to what we can achieve together. The work we have done here with the numbers and plans is a reflection of our shared purpose, an act of hope and faith in our future. May we leave this meeting with renewed dedication, ready to live out the values behind our budget. As we extinguish the flame, we extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone, for showing up today and participating in the annual meeting. And now I will adjourn this meeting. Go out and enjoy this beautiful day. Thank you.